Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, Feast of bestowing the Torah on humanity. From Shlavei HaSulam, with commentary from Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach Portnaar. The preparation for receiving the Torah. What is that? Please refer to the written materials for the text in Hebrew. See here the verse says, "And Avaya, the Creator, descended over Mount Sinai, at the top of the mountain. And as for the people, the verse says, and they set themselves up at the foot of the mountain." It is to be understood what is written about Avaya, and he descended, that it is an expression of descent. It is expressed in the diminishing. That was in the time of the giving of the Torah, the opposite. Why is that called descent with regard to Avaya, as there was still the time of joy? What he describes so far comes from the Torah, where it says that the people at the feet of Mount Sinai, where the Torah was given, and the Creator would descend above the top of the mountain. Neither the people nor the animals were allowed to ascend the mountain. There is a huge secret here. And the sages interpreted the verse, and they lined up over the people, which teaches that he covered them from above. He put the mountain above them as an upside-down box, and said to them, "If you receive the Torah, then it is good. But if not, there you will be buried." And there the treatise of the Shabbat came to the Tosavot, additions, that through question there, that's what they said. He covered the mountain like a box over him with regard to the spiritual work. What does this mean? And to understand that, we need to refresh the well-known principle in memory, that there is no light without kli. Without receiving, that is, it is impossible to have filling without deficiency. That is impossible anything if there is no passionate pursuit. And striving for something is called preparation. That is need. And the need for something determines the passionate pursuit of it. And the measure of pleasure is measured by the measure of passionate pursuit. The more man strives for what he desires, the greater becomes the pleasure when he satisfies that desire. And in what was said, it comes out for the giving of the Torah. It would take preparation to receive the Torah. Otherwise, it is impossible that there would be joy from the Torah, because the joy comes from the filling of need. That is, it was necessary for them to prepare a need for receiving the Torah. That brings the passionate pursuit, and as big the passion aspiration, and as big the passionate aspiration is, as much one can enjoy the Torah. But one should know what then is the necessity for the receiving of the Torah. The sages said, the Holy One, blessed is He created the evil principle and created for them a means against it. And Rashi, the great commentator Rashi from the 11th century, explained, He created for them the evil principle and the Torah as the counterpart to it, which Torah nullifies the sinful contemplations, when that loathsome, bad principle meets you, drags him to the house of learning. Drag it to the house of learning, and there they said, that are their words, if the Holy One is blessed, he said to Israel, I created the bad principle, and I created the Torah as a medicine to sweeten it. And if you are engaged in the Torah, then you will not be handed over into his hands, in the hands of the bad principle. As it has been said, as it is written about Cain, when he had thought in himself to kill his brother, then the Creator warned him and instructed him to correct himself, working on his evil principle would improve, you will be exalted and forgiven. And the Creator said further, and if the evil principle, surrounded by an iron wire, where you can hardly get out, only through a burning furnace. As said, what the Creator further added to Cain, at the entrance is sin. That's Yesod. The entrance into the holy is Yesod, the foundation. To enter within the sacred must be a strict guard, din, gorot, and that can lead to sin. To be exalted means, at the same time, to give. And what has been said, we see that the Torah is a tikkun, a correction, to get out of the power of the bad principle, of the unclean. That is, he who feels that in him is the bad principle, that is, he feels it with all his advice that he gives to a man, which will be good for him in life, and to enjoy life. His intention is that it will become bad, i.e., that he is the disruptor. A disruptor to come to the true good, which is called the merging with the Creator. And that is why man says about the bad principle that it is bad and not good. However, it is very difficult for a man to say about the bad principle that it is bad. That is, in it. In that bad principle, it gives him to understand that it is worth taking care of how to enjoy life and worrying about it. That's what the bad principle tells him. He would be pleased with the deeds he does. That is, all his deeds will be for his own benefit only. And the bad principle makes him understand that man would know principle, that all the advice which the bad principle has only come through one thought. That is, for your own benefit. And even sometimes when it tells him to do something for the other, it is not just that. He says to work for the other, to do something for another, but he calculates that with his head, because it is earthly mind. From those actions, it will then sprout the good for its own benefit. If so, how can man say about him as a bad principle at a time when the bad principle tells him to believe him, that the bad principle has absolutely no other intention, that it will go well with that human and not for another. And that is why man has great work, so that he starts to feel that his wish to receive is bad, to the extent that man will know in full clarity that he has no greater enemy in the world other than his own receiving in man. As we found that King Solomon called him in the name hater, as it is written, if your hater is hungry, feed him bread. And it is very difficult for a man to determine once and for all that it is bad, and that it only wants to stumble him off the right track. That it is absolutely the opposite of the way of receiving. Since the way of truth is only giving, and the receiver only wants to receive. So we believe that here is the free will of man to decide whether the bad principle is called good or bad. The power of free will in man. How far does it go, and what can man do, and what cannot man do with his free will? And that's as the sages used to say, that That angel, executive force of the universe, appointed over pregnancy, its name is Lila, night, because it always happens at night, and that angel takes a drop of seed, presents it to the Holy One, blessed be He, and says before him, Master of the world, this drop of seed, what will become of it? A hero or a good man, or a weakling, wise or a stupid, rich or poor? All these things will be determined from above, but that, whether it will be evildoer or righteous, it didn't say. That is given to the free will of man. The latter is giving to the free will of man. We can internalize this. Rich or poor, it comes from above. A person can toil in his life, and if it is not in the program of his incarnation, he will not succeed. Man to make precisely those corrections, which are best for that man, will be fulfilled in the quickest way. Wise or stupid is also relevant to the Creator. Whether man will be a culprit or a juster is all given to man's free will. We need to explain that the meaning of man's free choice is to determine and to decide, and to name the recipient in man, to see if it is indeed a good principle in him. The recipient in him takes care of the good in man himself, and one cannot even speak of him as worried about the good of the other, which is why it is worth listening to his voice for the reason that he only takes care of the self-benefit. It would be good for man, and of course one should believe in him and not deviate from him, either to the right or to the left. But one should fulfill all his instructions and not change his opinion. And there is also a statement to say the opposite, that he, the recipient in man, is really bad, in that the fact that one listens to his voice and that one engages in love for oneself is hence far removed from the holy, blessed be He, because of the difference of qualities. It goes without saying that the quality of severity resides upon man, the severity of the law, which, din, has come through the imposition of limitation, which limitation has made above on the light of doing to the creatures. Because of that, the name of the Holy One, blessed be He is good and does good, cannot be revealed in the place where love for himself is revealed. Hence it is imposed on man to decide, and to determine if love is evil, and the true damage maker to man. He brings us to the left, asks questions, creates problems, and with that he separates us, broadens us. With that we are corrected to receive higher and deeper kilim, and then the light comes in later to fill those notches. But there still remains a question. From where can man receive powers that he would have powers to make free choices and to say about the recipient in himself that it is bad? So bad that man would say from today that he will no longer listen to his voice. And the truth is that even before one needs help from the Creator, He will show man the truth, that the recipient is evil to himself, the true hater of man. And when man comes to this feeling, it is already reinforced. All concealments will have passed from him, and punishments would also pass. If one knows that this is the angel of death, the recipient of us, of course that everyone flees from death, and so then is the time when good and pleasure could be revealed as it was in the purpose of creation. And then man comes to grasp the Creator, who is called good, and who does good. And in what was said, we can explain what is written. In the Torah, the chapter Noah, and the Creator said to his heart, I will no longer continue to curse the earth because of the man, because the inclination of the heart of man is bad from his youth. And the Ramban, which means to speak to his heart, that is, means to speak to his heart, that is a matter was not revealed to a prophet at the time. He added and said, and then his essence was revealed to Noah. The inclination of man's heart is evil from childhood that was not revealed. There is a rule from above that the Creator reveals everything to the prophet here on earth, but no one was worthy to reveal it then. Here Shlavei HaSulam brings us to the left by asking questions and generating those questions in us so that they become our own questions, which are the scope of our senses, of our discernment. Then we become larger and more receptive to the light within and the wisdom. And the verse is difficult to understand, for only now has the Holy, blessed be He. The verse is difficult to understand, for only now has the Holy One, blessed be He, seen that the inclination of man's heart is bad from his youth, and not before then, God forbid. How can we understand that? Of course, the Creator knows everything about what was, what is, and what will be. Why does the Creator only say now, I will not do that anymore because I see that the inclination of man's heart is bad, evil, as if He only stands, as if He only understands it now? And in the way of the spiritual work, we should interpret that the Holy One, blessed be He, now revealed, that is, after a great work that a man had invested in, that he would raise himself up to come to the truth that it is, to really know what was needed for man to be born, what purpose should he come to. And the Creator revealed to him that the tendency of the heart of man to be the recipient of evil from his youth. That is, it is not to say that he is only now seeing that his heart's tendency has gone bad, but that he has been bad since childhood. But until now he has not been able to decide that in reality it is bad. Therefore man was in the ascent and descent states. That is something he listened to the voice of the bad principle in himself and said, from today onwards, and now I will know that the bad principle is my enemy. And all he advises to do is just to do bad to me. It is crucial for the Kabbalah and for what we learn, for working on one's fulfillment, only when man discovers, after hard work, that he is bad, only then does he get a relationship with the Creator, the laws of the universe, and not before that. That was the case before then. But then the Creator said, this is to his heart, because no one had yet worked to really experience it, except Noah. Before that, they thought they were good. They do not come to fulfillment because they feel they are good. They find themselves better than anyone else. They believe they are good. It doesn't matter that a person falls back in their faith. Kabbalah is much deeper. It is the last station for the Creator. There is no one left. When man already learns Kabbalah, there is no wall between him and the Creator, because any religion, including the Jewish, and whatever, is much more superficial. And if man flees back to religion, it will give that man temporary relief. But inevitably, a terrible depression will follow, because one can no longer cope or hang the surface. One will excite him inside, just like an awl. It is terrible until that man returns to the true work. The Torah says that a dog returns to its vomit. But then again, his bad principle comes to power again, and he listens again to the voice of the bad principle, works the bad principle for himself with his heart, nefesh, and then he turns back. Returning to religion is giving in to your bad principle. He feels himself in the aspect of a dog returning to his vomit. Explanation, what does that mean? What he has already decided, that it is not right for him to listen to the voice of the bad principle. All that food that that bad principle gives him are only food that suits as food for livestock, group spirit, and as not as food for man. Man is he who works on himself and is not part of a group. It is now time to awaken so that man does not become an appendage of an organization, of a group, of a movement, a religion. That he takes a close look at his life and becomes the master of his own existence, takes his fate into his own hands, and does not return to the vomit. All ships behind us burn. We renew ourselves every time. Always a new state. Each state is a new and special. The overarching going back to your own vomit, because that's a shame about your time and life. And suddenly he returns to, and the cattle forgets all the decisions and ideas he had before. And then when he regrets, he sees that there is no other counsel than that of the Creator. The Holy One, blessed be He, would give him. His inclination of the heart is called bad, and it is really bad. After the Holy One, blessed be He, has given him this knowledge for his inner man, he no longer returns to the side streets, but asks Hashem to give him the strength to overcome that bad principle. Every time that the bad principle desires to cause him to stumble, then man prays to the Creator that he will overcome his evil principle. And in what he had said, it follows that the Holy One, blessed be He, must give him both Kli and the light. Kli is the place of light. He should give both to men. That is to say, both the knowledge, the awareness that the bad principle, the evil inclination of your heart is bad, and there is a need to come out of this power. And the tikkun for that is the Torah. I created the bad principle, and I also created the Torah as a medicine. So we find the need for the Torah gave him the Holy One, blessed be He, and the Torah also gave him Hashem, and that is called the Creator gives him the light and the Kli. And in what was said, we need to explain the verse as the Creator said to his heart. What is that? And the explainers explained that it was not revealed to a prophet, which means to his heart. Then he revealed his secret. And what is the secret? This answer was revealed to Noah, that the inclination of man's heart is bad from his youth. That gives hope to a man. Here is a stumbling block. Do you want to live? Then listen and do this. This is a great high concept, and otherwise, it's a comedy. The inclination of the heart of man, what the Creator tells us, is bad. Of course, he means the heart of the outer man, that only wants to receive for himself. Put that in your inner heart, because the inner heart is good. The inner heart is giving. We have not had that from childhood. He does not say, we have not had that from childhood. He does not say from birth, so not bad by birth. The inclination of man's heart is bad from his youth. You must place this in your inner heart. That is what we're building, the heart of our inner man, who gives, who learns to give. It is the divine heart in man you have to put in that. Then you will not be taken over by your outer man. The outer man is the bad principle. In the seat of the heart of the outer man, there sits the evil principle. There is the inclination of the heart of the outer man. And according to what was said above, the order of the spiritual work is that the man ought to first see through one's own powers. Man should look in advance, seeing with his own powers. Second, exercise the free will to do. Heart is bad. Fourth, then he sees that it is not in his power. He's not able to determine with full decision that he would not change his speech, saying that the inclination of his heart is good, and that it is worth listening to his voice. Fifth, then he returns, and at the time it is said that the Holy One, blessed be He, says in his heart that he is bad from his youth. But the human is still in the process of pursuing his free choice, had not yet been revealed to him by the Creator, the secret, that the inclination of his heart is evil, and that it would be the place to make his free choice. There is no imposition from above. There's no violence in the spiritual. This festival is called the bestowal of the Torah because it is still in the condition of a gift. Man experiences in his heart that the inclination of his heart is bad from his youth. That is the time of receiving the Torah. As we can see, the majority have not received it, although they have been working on it for a long time, because man thinks he is good. Only the Creator can say in his heart that the inclination of man's heart is bad from his youth. Man does not experience that. It exists, but man does not see it. He is blinded. And of course, one cannot blame him because he is still underdeveloped. Who dares say the inclination of the heart is bad? They received the Torah. They were entrusted with the Torah. They received it as a gift. And they had to receive that Torah by first working on themselves, that we are bad. That the inclination of our heart is bad is a great revelation, a great comprehension, because it allows the light of the Creator to penetrate the truth into you, and therefore the whole of creation can draw from you. The whole of creation can draw from you, all nations. First, your own human under the Parsah. All nations can then take advantage of you from this decision in the good sense to receive all the good. The Torah is the middle line of Ze'ah, Zerampin. Then it will only shine in your lower kelim of Kabbalah, the kelim of reception. And because of this, you will also pass it on through your own Malchut, through your own Yesod of Malchut, your own being. And you can also pass this on to other peoples who supposedly did not receive the Torah. You had to pass it on to them, but first, receive the Torah yourself. Let us now receive the Torah, this time when we hear it, on the day of the receiving of the Torah. Now, this Feast of Weeks is the most benevolent time to experience. It then comes down over the mountain, as it were, to help us. If we become receptive, this will happen to us. And that, then, is a desire that the place will be to make his own choice and to determine that the inclination of his outer heart is bad. But then when man sees that he is unable to say that it is really bad, but every time he expresses regret, then the situation comes when he shouts to the Creator, "Give me help." And then his secret of the Creator was revealed to Noah. That the Noach aspect in man means the worker for the Creator. That is, in the time when the Creator reveals to man that the inclination of his heart is bad from his youth. That it is not a new revelation. That the bad principle is bad. But the Creator says that I have not told yet, but now that I reveal to you the secret that man's tendency is bad. Now you can be sure that you would not listen to his voice, because I reveal that to you. And of course, I, the Creator, will no longer curse, for there will no longer be a reason for punishment, for everything will be all right. And that is what he says. And I will no longer strike, and all that lives as I did.